your nervous system can't tell the difference between an imagined event and a real one. Gentlemen, as always, I am privileged to impart upon you some valuable information and wisdom to you this fine day or evening or morning, wherever you are watching this video from. Now, this video is going to encompass remarkably uncomplicated pieces of information, but in my opinion, immensely potent pieces of information that can literally change the trajectory of your future if you synthesize it into emotional control and jurisdiction over the animal that you inhabit, the human being. Now, at the crux of this particular wisdom that I'm going to synthesize into your mind, or attempt to synthesize into your mind, is the understanding of yet again another invaluable Reddit post that I will narrate to you, leaving no stone unturned to impart upon you this knowledge and therefore wisdom into practical habits in your daily life. Now, to provide you with a comprehensive grasp on this particular knowledge, I will complement this video with a visual aid towards the latter end of the video. So I do implore you to wholeheartedly take part in the viewing and the synthesis of knowledge in this particular video to be able to practice what I am preaching today. Failure to assimilate this vital framework may hinder your ability to yield the promised outcomes. For it is through this profound understanding of this particular Reddit post that the true potential of personal growth and self-development can be achieved, and your journey towards a more fulfilling future takes flight. So without further ado, we will give our appreciation as per always for the bougie boo boo. You will never hear me say that ever again, gentlemen. So, a bit of backstory, a bit of context before I get into the core of the post. I have studied out-of-body experiences for many, many years, and I've had successes as well. Truly enlightening, and I highly recommend. I studied this art long before I discovered Neville and the law from a few years ago. While rereading a book I've had for a few years, I ran across a specific statement in the book that blew me away. Literally, I have chills right now as I type this. The book is called Journeys Out of the Body, written by Robert A. Monroe, a book, gentlemen, that I am also reading at the moment with a various couple other books. Poor habit of mine. Hands down, the Earth's foremost expert in the subject of out-of-body experiences. He was the reason the CIA created many secret programs based on his training methods. That's an entire rabbit hole for another time, and of course I will make various videos on the subjects, gentlemen, as I am becoming proficient in this particular practice. Also, anyway, throughout the book, Monroe documents many of his out-of-body experiences and his progression with control of his astral body during these experiences. One very specific event began to unfold during his out-of-body experiences, and it had to do with the Great Secret. Monroe was being led by unseen entities who used their unseen hands to guide him. At times, he would feel the hands moving him from space to space, revealing subtle information, and one in particular they referred to as the Great Secret. Monroe wanted to know what the Great Secret was, and he was told to ask his father. Anyway, he never truly received a direct response. However, I believe he did. He just didn't realize it at the time. So this is this individual's interpretation on a particular piece of information or experience that Monroe had in his book that apparently, unbeknownst to him, he didn't realize. So during a specific out-of-body experience event, he recalled when he was about to complete his out-of-body experience and return to his physical body. So this is a direct quote from the book here. I was about to lift out when two hands held a book in front of my closed eyes. The book was rifled, turned around on all sides so that I could see that this was indeed a book. The book was opened and I started to read. Insert drum roll here. The gist of what I read was that in order to willfully bring back a condition, it was necessary to recreate the feeling of a similar experience that had occurred in the past, i.e., was a part of your memory. I took this to mean that one should think of the feeling rather than the details of the incident. Holy cow, folks. He's literally talking about the law. The law was revealed to him, unbeknownst to him, that this was or is the great secret that these beings are imparting upon us in the physical realm. What is even more amazing is that it occurred while he was in an altered state of consciousness, in a realm where, for those of you that are aware of the astral plane, exists entities that are non-human and all-knowing of great secrets or greater understanding of the 3D realm in which we inhabit. In closing, there is a beautiful lesson I see here. We have all struggled at times to live in the wish fulfilled. We all know that feeling is indeed the secret. Somewhere in our past, all of us have a feeling of something, i.e. a past memory, and it is actually very easy for us to live in the wish fulfilled because we have already felt a specific feeling from a past moment that can easily pull into the present and live in that feeling and manifest it into the 3D realm. Past money, past love, past successes, past happiness, past creativity, past everything. Just pull that memory into the present and live inside that feeling, gratitude and abundance to everyone. So gentlemen, that was a lot. I'm going to start to unpack this, and as I prefaced, I'm going to use a visual aid to convey to you the practical element of this particular theory here. So feeling is the secret. This you know, this you understand. But many of you, including myself, ask myself the question, well, during many moments of that practice, I find it difficult and challenging to bring forward the feeling that is consistent with the desires that I wish to see fulfilled in my particular reality. If I might wish to bring something into my life, I have no reference point for the feeling. Let me give you a classic, trite and very cliche example. Joseph, let's say I want a Ferrari, I want a supercar, I want an Aston Martin. But how might I attempt to live in the feeling of the wish fulfilled if I have no reference point for what it's like to have an Aston Martin? I've never owned one before. How do I know the feeling that is consistent with that particular desire? Well, our friend has just shared it here. You need to look in the past for feelings that are consistent with successes or feelings of getting something that you believed at the time may be outside the realm of your possibilities. So the secret law entails leveraging your memories. So gentlemen, let's start off with you. This is you in meditation. If you couldn't tell, I am a fantastic artist. Now you can do meditation whether or not you're sitting in this particular asana or you're lying down. Meditation perhaps isn't the greatest word to use here. Neville uses the word visualization as perhaps another word that might be synonymous with this particular activity. And you're trying to create a visual implication that you have the thing that you want. So if you take the example of you sitting behind the wheel of your Aston Martin, it might be that you are feeling the leather of the steering wheel, and also you are smelling the leather of the car. Perhaps you're driving it, you can feel the rev of the engine below your feet. Now, many people mistakenly, they get too lost in the visual implications of these things. So we're going to draw here this just little imagination bubble of what that may look like. You have to remember as well, this is all from a point of view. If you imagine yourself looking down at yourself having these experiences, it won't work because you never have a reference point for looking at yourself unless you're astral projecting. So it might be, again, your hands on the steering wheel here. Let's do a BMW logo instead. And you on the road, trees on the side. So you're looking through your eyes and this is what you're experiencing. But many people fail to remember that first and foremost, it's the feeling that's the most important part of this particular visualization method. So yes, you can have these visual aids, but the most important thing is not these visual aids, it's the feeling that you're having when you're in this particular mental rehearsal. So let's get rid of this for a moment. And you need to bring your object of focus back to feelings in the body that are consistent with what you were experiencing when you're going through that mental rehearsal. Now, as I mentioned, people have a very difficult time rehearsing this because they think to themselves, well, Joseph, I've never known what it feels like to sit behind the seat of a BMW or a Porsche or a Ferrari. What do I do? What you have to do is you have to look back into your memories of experiences that were very similar. And this is called memory anchoring. So one of my experiences that I use quite often is the first time I ever received money online. Somebody actually paid me money for an ebook that I made, which I put out for free, by the way, and they still sent me money anyway. And I'm trying to channel the physical sensations in my body that I was experiencing when that notification came up. So I'm actually bringing my attention first and foremost to my smile, right? There are muscles in your face that are associated with higher emotions like gratitude, like love, and typically they show on your face first. So I'm bringing my attention to the muscles in my face. The next thing I'm actually doing after that is I'm bringing my attention to my heart. Again, guys, I know this is not what a heart looks like, but the sensory feelings I get in my heart is vasodilation in my arteries and in my veins around the heart. I can actually feel. I'm very sensitive, acutely sensitive to the arteries getting larger and larger to allow more blood into my heart. And that comes from the phrase, your heart is opening when you're in gratitude. So your heart literally, physically opens when you're in gratitude. So I'm feeling that vasodilation of more blood coming into my heart as I'm just feeling so much joy and fulfillment and contentment because of that feeling. Some people may get, tingling as well, tingling on the back of their, on the hairs on the back of their head. Some people also get like adrenaline uptake. And these are the physical sensations and symptoms that you should be focusing on other than your visual aid. I really believe your visual aid is secondary to that. So you want to be challenging this from a memory that has a strong emotional reaction for you. And then over time, as you get better and better at this, you can bring these emotional, feelings to this visual aid of, let's say, your new desire. But it's really important you recognize this is number one and this is number two here. You really have to focus on the feeling, and then you can start to channel the feeling over to the visual aid. And this is really powerful. Emotional anchoring is really, really powerful in all facets of life because it can change your emotional state very, very drastically. Like neurosis is very pervasive in the West. Anxiety, depression, guilt. People are living in very, very low states. And one of the simplest way to actually shift your state up is by bringing your imagination, bringing your thought process to a memory that you have a high emotional state with. Because this is the premise. This is why this is so real. Your nervous system can't tell the difference between an imagined event and a real one. And that was from the book Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. This is scientifically ratified and is actually one of the reasons why PTSD is such a terrible, terrible condition, because the body doesn't know the difference between when it's in the trauma and when you're just imagining the trauma. So it's feeling its way through the trauma and then giving you the visual aids that are consistent with it. This little exercise here is just PTSD, but kind of in reverse. So you're using it to your advantage. You're using your imagination and your ability to anchor your emotions in a positive memory to your advantage. So gentlemen, I really think even if you're a little bit, skeptical of this kind of practice, which I completely understand, do not underestimate the power of memory anchoring. If you struggle with negative emotions in your life, I think it's really a really valuable practice to sit down before you go to bed tonight and actually write down a list of your happiest memories that you have a strong emotional connection with and rehearse them and getting into a habit of rehearsing them, especially when you feel neurosis like depression, anxiety, and stress. And you will notice how quickly you can shift your particular emotional state. It's a real superpower if you can willfully change your emotional state. And gentlemen, these are not theories. These are cold, hard facts. This is scientifically ratified. Speak soon.